So with us getting into the swing of the holiday season, one thing we all know is that there's a lot of video games coming out from now until the end of 2023. Now, unfortunately, that means some games will fly under the radar and become hidden gems because, well, maybe they didn't have the marketing budget of some of the bigger titles or the name brand notoriety that a lot of these titles have.
There's a game coming out on September 14th for Xbox and Steam and September 18th for Nintendo Switch,
And it's ugly. Literally, the game is called Ugly, and this is a puzzle platformer game that I wasn't really super familiar with. The fine folks behind Ugly reached out to me though and asked me if I wanted to do a sponsored video on it, and I was like, you know what, sure. It doesn't really seem like an RGT style of game. I'm kind of an impatient person and I get very frustrated with puzzles at times. You saw what happened with me in Labo, which was a piece of cardboard, but I decided to check out this game because honestly, I really like the art style of it. So after spending some time with Ugly, I definitely have quite a few things to say about it because I think if you're a fan of puzzle platformer games, this game is going to be right up your alley, and I feel like not a lot of people are going to know about this. So one of the main things about Ugly is the story of the game. Now, I haven't completed the game yet, so I don't know the full story, and it's not told in a traditional sense where there's like text on the screen or dialogue. It's really up to your sort of interpretation, and I feel like that's going to be like the motif of the story going through because it never outright just tells you what's happening. Obviously, it's sort of a dark and dreary game when you look at, some of the environments that you're in. They're very sort of questionable. What I've taken away from the story is I believe it's a tale of self-loathing and a man who is potentially, an alcoholic that's down on his luck, has the world at his fingertips, but pissed it all away and never appreciated the things in life. As you're going throughout this large environment that you're in, which I'm assuming is some sort of castle, you basically see that a lot of the faces on the pictures on the wall have been crossed out. Whenever you want to reset a puzzle and like you're in a room and you need to reset the puzzle because you messed up or wanted to start something over, you actually take out like a jug of booze and like you sip it and then you pass out and your vision gets all sort of blurry and stuff like that. So I could be way off the mark on this. Like I said, it's just kind of my personal interpretation on it. But the more I played the game, the more sort of clues that it gives you because there's certain spots on the map that will like allow for memories to be triggered where you start to see kind of like what happened in this room and how your character reacted to it. I could be completely off the mark with this, but I definitely feel like that's what I'm taking away from this story, and I could definitely appreciate it. Now, of course, we have to talk about the gameplay of it, and I think this is where the game shines because of the puzzle mechanics. You have this really interesting thing that's like a mirror, basically, and you put down the mirror, and then you have a separate version, like a ghost version of yourself that is moving in like sync with your version, but in the opposite direction. So you can already see how this is going to play a role in the game because you can switch between the mirrored self and your normal self in order to access different areas or to get up higher or lower. You can actually crouch and do the same thing so that your character is mimicked from top to bottom. And if you climb up a ladder or something, your ghost character will also climb up that ladder. You could switch back and forth between your normal self and your ghost self to transform you into a different area, and obviously this is going to lead to a lot of crazy puzzles. At first, I was definitely a little bit frustrated because I was trying to kind of wrap it around my head, like how this actually works and how I can use it. But the deeper you get into the game, the more second nature it becomes. And it's actually really cool. Like, I genuinely enjoy it because you definitely get that feeling of satisfaction after solving the puzzle. And knowing how I am as a person who always likes instant gratification and, if I see it, I want it, I get it. I think it made me sort of appreciate this style of game a bit more than I've ever really appreciated them before because of the fact that I'm trying to rack my brain. I can't, at the time of the filming of this, there's no videos online for this. So I'm having to figure everything out on my own, be sort of the guinea pig for these situations. And whenever I'd solve them, I felt just a great sense of satisfaction. You do things like get different keys to access different areas as you progress throughout. It's nothing too crazy. It's more so focused on the puzzle solving itself and some of the platforming, because the platforming also plays a role in this mirror mechanic where you have your alternate version of yourself that you could swap back and forth between. It really leads to some interesting situations, and there's definitely a high level of self-satisfaction when you accomplish it and you sort of figure out what is going on. There also is a hint system if you ever get stuck, and I mean, I used it a couple times, I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely gave it an honest effort when trying to solve some of these puzzles. Now, the game is called Ugly, but I think the game's presentation is anything but that. The visual style is really nice. Like, when you're looking at it, all the environments definitely feel very unique, and they all sort of have a different story to tell when you're in them. There's lots of little intricacies, like bugs crawling on the wall, or different things within the environment that also interact with you, like when you walk by a harp, like the harp strings rip off and stuff like that. It's very dark, it's very dreary, but it kind of has like the color palette they use is kind of a bright and cheerful thing. So it's actually a very interesting dichotomy between these two sorts of things that are happening, much like the mirror in this game. That's kind of two alternate things. I could be looking like way too deep into this and potentially giving these people way too much credit on it, but that's the feeling that I get from it, from the story, from the visual standpoint, from how everything works within the game. It's definitely like a tale of two different things happening at once, with an inner self-reflection being the main motif. The audio in the game is fantastic as well. I played it with headphones on, and there's like certain areas that have certain types of music and certain different things like that, but it paints a very haunting and bleak picture. There's some with like a woman like singing as well, and I really like this. Like, it definitely stands out, and it's not intrusive whatsoever. The controls of the game are fine. You could switch between anything at like one point in time, like I said. And really, I think the main thing that might turn some people off to this game is just the fact that it is, a puzzle platformer game. If you're not a fan of the genre, I don't necessarily think it'll like draw you in, but it might actually, because I'm not really a fan of heavy puzzle games. Like, my sort of puzzle games are games like Tetris and crap like that, like match 3 puzzle games. I enjoy those, and I play those regularly. But a game like this, I probably wouldn't have played it if the company didn't reach out to me to do a sponsored video. And I'm glad they did. I'm really enjoying this game. I'm really enjoying the visual style, and I'm really interested to see if there is a definitive conclusion to this story, or if it's just a self-interpretation thing, because I feel like everyone will kind of take away something different from the story. You know what I'm saying? How the story plays out and what sort of things that happen. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. What sort of things and scenes that are shown to you within the game that sort of make you think a certain way about your character. And at the end of the day, I think it's definitely based on self-reflection. But yes, Ugly. It's available on Steam and Nintendo Switch on September 14th. If you like what you see, you'll probably really like this game, honestly. And it's kind of a shame that it'll probably fall a bit under the radar, but, maybe we can give it a boost together. So those are my thoughts on Ugly. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is this a game that you would be interested in checking out? Obviously, puzzle platformers, they have their audience, and I think the audience will enjoy this. And maybe you're not interested in the genre, but this video convinced you to check it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. I want to give a huge thank you to the folks from Ugly for sponsoring today's video. Your game is anything but ugly. Love the visual style of it. Definitely a captivating experience that I didn't expect myself to get drawn into. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.